Two, we're going to start talking about analyzing and sorting graphs. There are some graphs in your workbook that will have to be, that we cut out in class and we sorted them. So I'm going to go ahead and show you those graphs, and I will be referring back and forth to some of those graphs as we go through here, just so that you can kind of see them side by side along with the questions. So here they are. There's 3 pages of them, and I want you to notice some things about these graphs. First of all, some of them are dots. They're not connected. Okay, that's going to be important because we're going to see some vocabulary terms about that. Some of them are connected. We've seen some of them that look kind of like this before. We have some that's a shape, right? That looks a little different. Okay, we've got some that are straight lines. We've got some that are curved lines. So we have all different kinds of graphs, okay? So what the first activity was for you to sort some of them. And so one of the things that you could have done is you could have sorted things like into straight lines versus not straight lines. So A would have been a straight line, B is not, C is not, D is not, E is not, F is another straight line. So you could have gone with straight and curved. Some kids might have sorted them out and said, well, there's the graphs with the dots, dot, 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 as opposed to graphs with continued lines. So just making some observations on how I could sort my graphs. Now back over to the page in our lesson. I'm going to look at a little activity, and we have an activity, and it says, Chris grouped these graphs together. Why do you think Chris put these in groups? Well, hopefully you guys can all see that every one of these, this was dot, 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 dot. Well, we have a name for this that you're going to see in a minute. These are called discrete graphs. Discrete is a special kind of graph where you have points that are not connected by a line. Chris did a good job on these. These could all be grouped together because they are the same type of graph. Okay. Now, next we have Paola. Paola has grouped some graphs together because they all have what she says is a vertical axis of symmetry. She said, if I draw a vertical line through the middle of the graph, the image looks the same. Well, let's see if she's right. Guys, this is a vertical line, okay? I didn't do a good job of that vertical line. This is a vertical line. And she said you have to draw it through the center of the shape. That's a vertical line. And if you look, all 3 of these, she's right. If you look, those dots are in equal distance from the line. I did a really bad job on this one. These arrows, equal distance from the line. These arrows, equal distance from the line. Paola did a good job. These all do have a vertical axis of symmetry. So if you've forgotten what that means, symmetry basically means it is a mirror image when you split it down the middle, okay? So when you look at its left or its right, that is a vertical axis of symmetry. Okay, she wanted it to be a vertical line, so I have to have a mirror image. This dot's this far away, then that dot's that far away. One's closer, one's closer. That's a mirror image. So she did a good job. Okay. Next person, Jorge. Well, apparently, according to the book, Jorge did not get his answer correct. He picked 3 graphs and put them together, and he said that they each go through only 2 quadrants. Well, guys, we're going to number our quadrants. Quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Now, this first one, graph H, if it continues up, the only place it's going to be is in quadrants 1 and 2. There's no way for this graph to turn and be in quadrant 3 and 4. So I agree, this one is in 2, okay? But let's look at K. K, it's going up, and this is in quadrant 2, and I guess I could have circled these, okay? So yes, this graph is in quadrant 2, and K, although it looks to you guys like maybe that arrow is going to go down into quadrant 4, it's really not. This is called an exponential function, and it's really going to bottom out. And so it is going to be in quadrant 1, and it is in quadrant 2, but it's not in quadrant 3 or 4. So that one's right. That one's in 2 quadrants. But let's look at this last one. Right now, when you look at the picture, I can see that it's in quadrant 3, and I can see that it's in quadrant 2, but this one is actually not right, and here is why. If I extend the left arrow up, it's still in quadrant 2. But if you extend the right arrow up, eventually you're going to be in quadrant 1. So this one is actually going to be in 3 quadrants because it keeps going. So you have to think about what happens when the arrows keep going. Okay? Elena put these 3 together. She did not provide a rationale for why she put them together. But I'm going to go ahead and remind you of something that you were supposed to have learned last year. And this is the concept of the vertical line test. I'm going to see if I can do this with my pen. I'm not sure I can. I'm going to draw myself a vertical line. And now I'm going to see if I can move that line. I'm going to try anyway. Well, thought I would be able to move that line. Supposed to be able to move that line, but I can't make it work. So instead, I'm going to draw it. So I'm going to draw myself a vertical line. Vertical, remember, means it's going up and down. So as I draw my vertical lines, and I'm going to draw several of them, I'm going to draw them going across the page. I'm going to pretend that I'm moving my pencil across the paper. As you move across the paper, each time I am looking at a vertical line going through the picture, I want you to notice that my line is touching the picture in more than one spot. So if I can cross the picture and it touches in more than one spot on a vertical line, this is called not a function. We're going to be learning about functions and not functions. We're reviewing it. You actually learned it in the 8th grade. So look at this graph. Do you see how every time I draw a vertical line, unless I draw one right here, any other time that I draw a vertical line, my lines are touching in 2 places. So that is failing the vertical line test. You can't do that, okay? This one, the last one, the entire picture is on one vertical line. That is not a function. It fails the vertical line test. So, what's this person's name? Elena is correct. These are not functions. And that the reason is because they fail the vertical line test. I was really hoping I could figure out how to, oh, that's how I move that goofy line. So here's me moving the line. There we go. I'm moving the line along, and you see it's failing the vertical line test. Okay, we'll do that some more. I'll do some more with the vertical line test later. Okay, so that's the big idea here. So here are all of our cards. So let's talk about some things that we see. In my cards, I can see that I'm going to draw a vertical line and I'm going to move it around. So what that last person was saying, okay, this one, oops. As I move it across, you see how I'm only touching one point at a time? That's called a function. Letter B, that's also called a function. It passes the vertical line test. It only touches in one spot. C, that's a function. It only passes in one spot. D, big fat fail. Not a function, touching in 2 spots. Letter E, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. That one passes. That's a function. F, you get the idea? Okay, axis of symmetry that we just talked about. This one has an axis of symmetry because you can see that everything is the same distance from my middle point all the way across. Whereas this guy does not have an axis of symmetry. It's not a mirror image. If it was a mirror image, I would have an arrow from the middle going up also on the left-hand side. So this is not a mirror image. It's not an axis of symmetry. This circle up here that I now can't move, I'm trying, it has an axis of symmetry. I can put that line right down the middle, and that's a mirror image on both sides. This one does not have an axis of symmetry. The left and the right do not match. So that's kind of the big idea behind this lesson is look for some similarities with graphs. Are they dots? Are they solid? Is there an axis of symmetry? Oh, how many quadrants are we in? You know, for this one, I'm going to get rid of this line. I've got 1, let me mark again. 1, 2, 3 quadrants. This one, 1, 2, 3, 4 quadrants. This one is in all 4 quadrants. This one is only in 1, 2 quadrants. So looking for things that are similar on each one of these, okay? We're going to go all the way to the end and do the activity. Here is my activity. Record the letter of each graph with the given characteristic. So, has a vertical axis of symmetry. I'm going to draw a vertical line, sort of a vertical line, not great. And I'm going to move it on each one of these and see, does it have a vertical axis of symmetry? This one, does it look the same on both sides? No. This one, does it look the same on both sides? Yes. So B has a vertical axis of symmetry, as does C. D doesn't, not vertical, and E doesn't. So the only ones I saw were B and C. So I'm going to write that down, B and C. B passes through exactly one quadrant. Well, I've got one quadrant, and this one does not go into this quadrant, or in this quadrant. We don't worry about stuff on the border. So A passes through exactly one quadrant. B clearly does not. Can y'all see that? This one's in all 4 quadrants. Letter C is only in one quadrant. Letter D is in 1, 2 quadrants. Letter E is in all 4 quadrants. I'm not numbering the quadrants correctly. I'm just numbering to see that there are quadrants. So A and C. Has a horizontal line of symmetry. I'm going to change colors, and I'm going to talk about a horizontal line of symmetry. I'm also going to move this guy out of the way. Okay, and actually, I did not mean to do that. I meant to draw it left to right. Horizontal means this way, okay? Horizontal means left to right. So let me go grab this guy, and I'm going to slide it. I can't stick this one in the middle and it match. Can't stick it in the middle of this and it matches. C I can. C, both of them are the same on both sides. So C is a good answer. Okay, I'm going to go back and pick it up again. If I move it over to D, oh, looky there. That one has a horizontal line of symmetry. This one I can't stick anywhere in the middle and have it match both on the top and the bottom, okay? So this one was C and D. C and D. And then passes through all 4 quadrants. Oh, look, we already checked that. I had B and I had E that passed through all 4 quadrants. So B and E. All right. Create a list of X values and Y values in the relation, and write an equation using variables that could map. We're not going to write equations. X values, X, 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 X. Okay, Y values are going to be the second number. Remember, when you're doing X's and Y's, X is always on the left, Y is always on the right in an ordered pair. They're in alphabetical order. So that's all I'm going to touch on there. Okay, that's it for lesson 2.